Narayanam namaskritya Namam Chaiva Narottamam Vedam Saraswatim Vyasam Jaya Mudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, when she first offered respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of God and Narayan, unto Narayana, Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vadayasudeva, the author. So, Srinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Srinvatam Swakata Krishna,
Punyashravana Kirtanaha,
Punyashravana Kirtanaha,
Hridyantastohya Bhadrani,
Hridyantastohya Bhadrani,
Vedunoti Suritsatam,
Vedunoti Suritsatam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramama, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages.
Which messages? The one on the phone or the one?
Yeah. I tried to figure out how to turn the thing off since it looks like somebody can send me a message.
Which are in themselves.
Not looking at the messages.
Yeah, but she said, and just to get some messages.
This is going to be a good morning. I got glitches going on in my brain. I'm like, what?
Yes, rolling. Which are in themselves.
Which are himself. I thought I didn't say this right. Okay. Cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta Praesha Bhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya,
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke,
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke,
Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. It's going to be quite a morning. I'm not all the way there. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, whose praise of transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. My brain isn't quite working right, but...
You mean you're too joyful?
Huh?
Are you too joyful?
Well, I could break into giggles at any time.
Post-festival.
I would start giggling when I was singing because I forgot where it was.
You need it?
Well, it's been a while since we've actually done a Srimad Bhagavatam class.
Yeah. I hope we're on 23. Are we on 23?
That's what I'm assuming.
Okay, I'm assuming
Where's
it's
the board?
It's probably outside.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody is gone.
Yeah.
Everybody is gone because who's here? That's
You kind of see in case anyone didn't notice.
Thank you for reminding us. That's true.
okay, yeah. We were reminded yesterday, but I've decided that this hurricane thing is a hoax because I think you all have been pulling my leg. Every time we prepare for a hurricane, it doesn't happen.
No, let me tell you something. Look this real quick. The summer before Katrina happened, we had 2 or 3 false alarms. They ended up, they said they were coming to us and they hit the Panhandle or Houston. Then, the beginning of that season, there was also a false alarm. And then, when Katrina came, they told us it was definitely it was John Muslim night, and the next day was going to be Vyas Puja, and they said it was definitely going to hit the Panhandle. We got up on Vyas Puja morning, it was sitting right off the shore of New Orleans. So you just never know. Even I got up at 11:30 last night. The woman on TV, you can see the track that they say it's supposed to be going. It's supposed to be going right up where we are. But then you see the radar where the rain is, and it's over east of us and into Alabama. And she keeps saying, but this is the real track over here. It's really going. It looks like it's over here, but it's really going to go over this way now.
Within a half hour, it'll get straight.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Somebody said that the European weather forecasting is a superior model to the Americans.
The highest storm hit just west of Alabama.
Really?
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, it went over that way.
It just hit Mississippi, the eye, but it just...
Very slightly. It was mainly in part of part of eastern Mississippi and mostly in Alabama, even part of Florida. But they kept showing that it was coming right up to us.
So what did you do when you had Vyasa Puja anyways? Or
No, that was when I had to run into New Orleans and get all the inventory out. And everybody's stuff, it was just madness. There was no Vyasa Puja that day. And then that night it started kicking up, and Sunday afternoon, early Sunday evening it started. And then by Monday it was full on.
So, okay, having survived this hurricane threat, we're now on, we have a Srimad Bhagavatam verse on Canto 1, Chapter 16, when Parikshit received the age of Kali, text 24.
Are you speaking, is the microphone on? Maybe.
Is the microphone on?
Yeah, that's better.
It's not.
That's
really
better.
hard.
Yeah, that's good. Just,
But you heard me enough, right?
yeah, we heard you so far, but now it's better.
Okay, it's easier when you can hear well. Okay, so it's not on the board, no doubt. But
Colleen fell on the steps of her porch, and I don't know if she got a cracked rib or something.
oh man, that hurts.
She keeps falling. It's like the 14th steps.
Wow. Sorry to hear that. So anyway, I wasn't criticizing the person reading on the board. I'm just saying I don't think anybody did it. So I'll just read it. You can repeat. Everybody has it on their phone. It's 1:16:24. Idam mama chakshva tavadi mulam. Idam mama chakshva tavadi mulam. Try that again. I stuttered it, so I messed it up. You have
I was
it?
just imitating.
Not gonna try.
Imitating the stuttering. Everybody ready? Idam mama chakshva tavadi mulam.
Idam mama chakshva tavadi mulam.
I got rid of it. Vasundhare
Vasudhare
yena
yena
vikarshitasi.
vikarshitasi.
Vasudhare yena vikarshitasi.
Vasudhare jena vikarshitasi.
Kalena
Kalina
Vate Balinam
Balinam
Balyasa
Balyasam
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Kalina Vate Balinam Balyasa
Surarchitam
Surachitam
Kim
Kim
Pritam
Ritam
Amba
Amba
Sobhagam
Sabhagam
Surarchitam Kim Pritam Amba Sobhagam
Surachitam Kim Ritam Amba Sabhagam
Idam Mama Chakshwa Tavadi Mulam
Idam Mama Chakshva Tadadi Mulam
Vasundhare Yena Vikarshitasi
Vasundarena Vikarshitasi
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Surarchitam Kim Pritam Amba Sobhagam
Surachitam Kim Riddhamamba Saupagam
Idam Mama Chakshwa Tavadi Mulam
Idam Mama Chakshva Tadvadi Mulam
Vasundhare Yena Vikarshitasi
Sindhare Vena Vikashatasi
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Kalina Vate Balinam Balyasa
Surarchitam Kim Pritam Amba Sobhagam
Surachitam Kim Riddhamamba Saupagam
Please chant.
Idam Mama Chakshva Tavadi Mulam
Idam Chakshva Tavadi Mulam
Vasundare Jena Vikarshitasi
Vasundhare Yena Vikarshitasi
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Kalena Vate Balinam Balyasa
Surachitam Kim Riddhamamba Saupagam
Surarchitam Kim Idam,
Idam,
this,
Mama,
unto me,
Achakshva,
kindly inform,
Tava,
your, Adimulam, the root cause of your tribulations, Vasudhare, O reservoir of all riches, Yena, by which, Vikarshita, asi, reduced to much weakness, Kalena, by the influence of time, Va,
or,
Te, your, Balinam, very powerful, Baliyasa, more powerful, Sura Architam, adored by the demigods, Kim, weather, Vitam, taken away, Amba, mother, Shobhagam, fortune. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause of your tribulations, by which you have been reduced to such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time, which conquers the most powerful, might have forcibly taken away all your fortune, which is adored even by the demigods. Mother, you are the reservoir of all riches. Please inform me of the root cause. Of your presence. Of your tribulations. By which you have been reduced. To such a weak state. I think that the powerful influence of time. Which conquers the most powerful. Might have forcibly taken away all your fortune. Which was adored even by the demigods. I think.
Miss verse.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to be on 23. Did we do the one? Anybody was here? Did we do the one? Oh, Mother Earth. This is incarnate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnated Himself as Lord Shri Krishna. Those activities were transcendental. They cement the path of liberation. That's one in Paracord. And I think that's the next one. Unless somebody remembers that this was done. Was verse 23 done? That's all erased. No clue.
I don't think 23.
Okay, sorry. We just practiced ahead of time on that one. Why don't I just read 23 and talk, and then there's a good deal of class up there. They might be related, but I have to go back to 23 anyways. Okay, sorry. Yadvamba te buddhipara vatara krita vatarasya harirta vitri antarhitasya smarati vasishta karmani nirvana vilambitani. I'll read the word meanings. Do you want to repeat the word meanings or just move along?
Is that, there's no purport to it, or?
Yeah, 23 has a purport.
Didn't we just read the word meanings?
Well, you just read through the word meanings on 24.
Oh.
See, I did 24, but I opened it up to 20. Brain glitch. I told you it's going to be an interesting day.
So what is the verse on 23?
The 23 is.
Oh,
I'll just
Just do
read
the
it.
translation.
Just do the translation.
All right, translation. O Mother Earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead incarnated Himself as Lord Shri Krishna just to unload your heavy burden. All His activities here are transcendental, and they cement the path of liberation. You are now bereft of His presence. You are probably now thinking of those activities and feeling sorry in their absence. So you want to repeat this then? O Mother Earth.
O Mother Earth.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari.
Incarnated Himself as Lord Shri Krishna.
Incarnated Himself as Lord Shri Krishna.
just to unload your heavy burden.
Just to unload your heavy burden.
All his activities here are transcendental,
All his activities here are transcendental,
and they cement the path of liberation.
and they cement the path of liberation.
You are now bereft of his presence.
You are
You are
now
now bereft of
his
his presence.
You are probably now thinking of those activities
You are probably now thinking of those activities
and feeling sorry in their absence.
and feeling sorry in their absence.
Purport. Purport by Srimad Bhagavatam Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Joshua Prabhupada.
The activities of the Lord include liberation, but they are more relishable than the pleasure derived from nirvana or liberation. According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the word used here is nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. To attain nirvana, liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya, austerity. But the Lord is so merciful that he incarnates to diminish the burden of the earth. Simply by remembering such activities, one can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana, and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with him, eternally engaged in his blissful loving service. Om Gyana Tiradasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unnalitam Vina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Born in the darkness of ignorance, my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge, often on a respectful basis he's entered. Sorry about my little mistake there. Everybody all practiced up for tomorrow. We're going to get that verse down right tomorrow. So, first thing I want to talk about, this appears to be comparing liberation and devotional service, which puts you in the spiritual world with Krishna, which is better than liberation. So the theme of this particular verse is contrasting liberation with, what's the word for it? What's better than? Anyway, but then going to the transcendental abode of the Lord. So liberation is contrasted with this, because just liberation alone does not get you there. So in chapter 12 in Bhagavad-Gita, Arjuna asked this question. Arjuna wants to know once and for all. He pretty much knows, but he wants it really, really clear. Make sure nobody ever misunderstands this. So in chapter 12, text 1, I'll just read some few texts here. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? That might be a really good question, because the person who is pursuing the path of impersonalism might be more perfect in a way that we might look at it. So because it's such a hard path. So they might be appearing to be more perfect. So which path is more perfect? So Arjuna wants to know for sure. Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. For those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, not giving up all their activities, giving them up unto Krishna, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pita. For them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So here we have Apparently, because it's such a hard path, those who are pursuing the impersonal might look more perfect. But they have to give up all their activities, and they will dry up inside. You know, the soul will not be really happy. So eventually, even if they achieve this liberation, they will come back. Whereas those who engage in devotional service, they give up their activities unto Krishna. It does not mean literally they give up activities, because we're so busy. Look, over the last 2 days, it was all devotional service going on, and we were so busy. But we're doing it for Krishna. We're doing it for Prabhupada, for Krishna. And so very active, natural to the soul to be busy and active somehow or other. Soul can't remain inactive for a minute, Prabhupada says. So the soul wants activity, and I don't know, the impersonalists, I guess their action is the effort of not having actions. Anyways, the soul has to do something. So why not do happy things and get a happy connection with the most happy and wonderful person? So this personalism, devotional service, is much better than liberation, which says in the translation, in the purport today, to attain nirvana, liberation, one has to undergo a severe type of tapasya, austerity. But the Lord is so merciful that He incarnates to diminish the burden of the earth simply by remembering such activities. One can defy the pleasure derived from nirvana and reach the transcendental abode of the Lord to associate with Him, eternally engage in His blissful, loving service. All this happy activity. But given up to Krishna, given up toward Krishna, given up the material benefit for me, but giving it toward Krishna in that sense. So in English, I don't know, sometimes we say give up means you don't have it anymore. We have action, but we're giving it over to Krishna. So that's when Krishna has directly compared them. They're being compared again and again. The impersonalism and the personalism are compared again and again. So then also on 410. Being freed from attachment, lust, and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the path became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So in the purport, we may read that as some abstract ideas being, attachment, lust, and anger is good to be free from that, right? But it has a specific meaning in this, and Prabhupada points it out in the purport. And rather than reading the whole purport, and you can read it and see, but attachment, Prabhupada explains, means attachment for material enjoyment. I'm still attached. I still am going to get pleasure from this if I keep trying. And then fear is what results when you realize I'm not going to get pleasure, or it's not going to last long. I'm going to suffer. So then you don't want to be a person. Prabhupada says fear of being persons again. So they hope that when they leave their body, they won't have to be persons anymore, because they apparently identifying with the body and thinking that personhood means having this body and it's all this suffering. So I just want to merge. I want to be liberated from all this suffering. So and then anger is when you give up. There's too many ideas, too many arguments for philosophies, religions, etc. Whatever. What is the truth? I don't know. Forget it all. And they get intoxicated in some way. They might not mean they get addicted to alcohol or drugs. It might mean they watch TV all the time, or some kind of thing to forget these questions that can't be resolved, that are just plaguing. So Prabhupada says in this purport that all three, attachment, fear, and anger, or attachment to fruitive activities and material pleasure, fear of being a person and therefore trying to be impersonalist, and then anger, giving up on it all, is all three are disease condition of spiritual life. So that even though a person may be pursuing this impersonalism, it may be spiritual because they're trying to figure out what's spirit and what's matter. But ultimately their idea of what spirit is to lose your individuality. So it's that, and why do they want to lose their individuality? You'd think that wouldn't be selfish, but it is self-centered because they want the pleasure of not suffering anymore. in this individuality. So they'd like to just forget it and merge it. Perhaps it's another form of intoxication in a way. Only they have to work really hard for it. And they have clarity of mind, seeing what's spiritual, what's not, and that's what they're seeking. So they're being very mentally clear. It's not exactly like intoxication, but it's something to forget the pain. So it's a similar purpose. And it's a disease condition of spiritual life. Because it's still about me. I want to enjoy. I want to avoid pain. I'm frustrated, so I want to forget everything. So it's still about me, which is a diseased condition of life. So clearly, though we may, in our modern culture, assume that somebody who's being impersonalist is at least being spiritual, but still it's diseased. And it's to be directly contrasted with devotional service. So it's a direct contrast. And that's why the Mayavadis and the devotees are always having arguments too. Now that's also because the Mayavadis are always offensive to Krishna. They're saying, I'm Krishna. So they're always offensive, so the devotees have to fight back. But it's also their purposes are opposite. Purposes are different. Not similar, really. Although externally, like with Buddhism goes up to the point of liberation from material attachment, which so does Bhakti Yoga, alongside the development of devotion. But at that point, they part company, because like Buddhism, impersonalism, all these things don't go any higher than that. The idea of nirvana is liberation from individuality, which they mistakenly think is the cause of misery. So even Prabhupada's mantra, prana mantra, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatayane, preaching to the Western countries against voidism and impersonalism and voidism. So that's Prabhupada's purpose. That's what we say every day, honoring Prabhupada. His purpose is to preach to the Western countries against impersonalism and voidism. He set them against impersonalism and voidism. So they aren't similar. They're opposite. So it's very important to understand this contradiction, or this contrast here. And it says here to us, let's see. This nirvana vilambitani, salvation, let's see. In the purport it says that means nirvana vilambitani, that which minimizes the value of liberation. So by directly contrasting, by giving way more happiness, unlimitedly more happiness, it minimizes the value of liberation. Well, there's some happiness in liberation. And then there's a story of in a Brihat Bhagavatam where Gopakumara, this little kind of innocent little soul who is has been given a mantra by a demigoddess who is a devotee of Krishna. She gave him a mantra. He doesn't really understand the mantra, but he always chants it. It's basically leading him to be related to Krishna as a Calvin boy. But he doesn't understand. He just keeps chanting it no matter what. But he keeps encountering personalities who are representing or preaching or embodying the next level up from where he's at. So at every single level he goes up. And he gets pretty advanced, and he encounters the temptation, somebody has recommended it, temptation to nirvana, to impersonal liberation. He's in the Brahma Jyoti, and he senses somehow the descriptions. It's hard to understand. You can't really describe a thing like this. And I can't really repeat the description exactly, but it seems that he could sense there were lots of souls, and they were going in and out of merging with the source of this beautiful light. And they weren't really seeing, but just beautiful, beautiful light. And they were going in and out of merging with it. Apparently they couldn't stay in it, but they were so attracted to it. And he felt the attraction to that light. he felt like tempted into it because it's so beautiful. Because of course it's the Brahmajyoti, it's Krishna's light. But he sensed that God don't want this, so he pulled back. He sensed he didn't want to annihilate himself or try to annihilate himself. He didn't want just the impersonal. He always had that mantra, which made him feel there was more, there's more, there's more. He always was led to looking for more. So even though this nirvana, this merging with the light, was so attractive to him, he didn't want it. There's something better. His mantra hinted at him all the time. There's better. So devotional service is better. And so I was thinking, I was looking at the altar this morning, which is so gorgeous. And part of how, isn't this what they dress like every Ekadashi? Why is it striking me? Of course, because there's so many flowers too. And the flowers, I was thinking, the flowers represent us, all individuals. There's so many different flowers, and they're all individual, and they're all perfect in themselves. Each one is perfect in its own little way. Has its own scent, its own shape, its own beauty, its own life. And everything about the way we practice devotional service supports this idea that we're all going to be individuals with Krishna. So even the way we decorate the altar is supporting that. With all these individual living flowers, probably didn't want artificial stuff. Individual living flowers that are serving Krishna, each in its own beautiful way. So, and all this variety, and it's looking at the basis on Prabhupada too, similar thing. All these different, perfect, beautiful individual flowers making this richness of experience, but nobody's losing their individuality. Nothing is losing the individuality, and the whole experience is wonderful and beautiful, and we can join with it without losing our individuality. So this is devotional service, and by remembering Krishna's activities and pastimes, all of which are individual activities and pastimes involving individual personalities, good guys and bad guys, and the individual dynamics and everything. It's all, in fact, these pastimes get repeated like a traveling roadshow. They get repeated in different universes one after another, and then they come back here and repeat it again. Each time it's going to be a little bit different because there's a little bit different individuality or individuals involved, and a little bit different individual choices, like I don't know, does Arjuna always get big doubts before the Battle of Kurukshetra? Or does he get doubts in different ways? Krishna finds another way to speak Bhagavad Gita? Or what? It's not identical. It's not like robots just playing like reruns. Not like that. So, all this individuality is going on all the time, individuality. It all makes this rich kind of effect of devotional service. Everybody together, it all adds together, and it pulls us into it too. So, so Mother Earth is one of the reasons that Dharma the Bull is pretty astute observer. He knows, he's suggesting, all these things he's suggesting are true. And he knows that part of what Mother Earth is missing is Krishna. Part of what's said, not just seeing how things are going downhill on earth, but she's actually missing Krishna was walking upon her having wonderful pastimes. And now it's sad without Krishna, because she was enjoying the devotional service too. So participating in it in her own way. So I think I'll stop there. It's about devotional service compared to impersonalism. So I'm going to have questions and comments, and anybody want to add to realizations.
I'm too tired. My leg hurts.
Also, I didn't say anything controversial.
Christian's got something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's just when you're talking about Madhava-priya and impersonalism, and I was thinking about how there was, I think it was Giriraj, and there was this Madhava, and he came up to him and was saying, yes, it's all one, just like the rivers or the streams, they go into the ocean, it's all one. And then Giriraj was kind of saying, simultaneously one and different. And then the man kept persisting, no, it's all one, it's everyone, like that. And so he took his blanket off Giriraj and gave him like a little piece of the blanket and said, here, take it. I mean, no, sweet. Oh, Giriraj got really nice and warm in this blanket. And then he was, came back and he could see how he had to understand that this is, you know, it's not the proper understanding. He wanted to surrender. And then what happened was Gary, I'm not saying the right person, led him to Shilpa. That's it.
Yeah, the Maya-body theories always break down. We're all one, we're just covered by Maya. Okay, that's two. There's one and Maya. So you're immediately wrong. So it's flawed from the start. But it's attractive to people who are at the stage of wanting to be liberated from pain. So it's
Because
attractive.
they're frustrated.
Huh?
Because they're frustrated.
Frustrated, yeah, they see it's all pain, and they, yeah. Like I was saying, I just didn't really notice that there's a similarity between their fear and anger, because they're about frustration. It's not going to be happy, so you know, they're going to suffer. So yeah.
Chaitanya Charan, he's really knowledgeable about all these like Indian things, you know, because that's from his culture, and this one's one of them. And he said that, you know, they are spiritual and there's hope for them, but the reason that they turn to this is out of frustration. And one of the techniques that they use is that when they perceive something, they break it down into its individual elements of earth, water, fire, air, ether, like that. And then they become accustomed to perceiving everything in that sense. And then he said, and you can't write a love song to earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So that helps them, you know, they think, to become detached from the sort of material things. But then, of course, Prabhupada says, you use it all in Krishna's service. It's all Krishna's. It's to be used for his pleasure, rather than just like divorce yourself from it, and be repulsed by it, or even I think they don't strive for repulsion so much as just like some kind of neutrality. You know, they don't want attraction, they also don't want aversion. So, but I appreciated that when he said, you can't write a love song to, you know,
Yeah.
everybody.
You know what? In the end, that's what you used to do. That's what's recommended to do that. But that should be subservient to devotional service. Just to separate out that stuff and say, oh, okay, body and all this elements that's just over there. I'm in devotional service to Krishna. So I'm a soul in devotional service to Krishna. But liberation stands at the door ready to serve, right? The same way. So this liberation process is only to serve bhakti, and by itself, if that's your whole thing, my gosh, I'm so sad. There's not much to get out of it, you know. Anyways, for us who tasted Krishna consciousness, but the body is only the body. So in the end, yeah, that's what Yudhishthira did. And Krishna recommends it in 11th canto. He actually recommends that kind of meditation. But it's to be subservient to devotional service, not as an end in itself. So we have to understand that clearly. Because we do have to have that process. And actually, knowing that Parikshit Maharaj was, still in his, good condition and everything, still could have been king for many, many years, emperor, but Shukadeva Goswami knew that Parikshit Maharaj was accepting death, and death was going to come. So Parikshit Maharaj was facing it. So actually, I think that's one strong reason why so much information is given about the material energy, about material creation, material energy, and how it's exactly the steps, how it's going to dissolve, and how different devotees went through this mental process of merging it back into the original pradhana in their minds. And so that was helping Parikshit Maharaj let go, because his false ego is really strong. And attachment, it's really a strong thing to be attached. Even though we're doing it all for Krishna, we are in this body, So in the end, we have to go through this process, but it's not to stand alone. Like the Buddhists and the devotees, they may have a similar path to understand that we're not the body. To the, there's similarities in austerity or something like that, or we do it different, but there's some similarity there until a certain point. But if that's all there is, that's the whole reason, then we have nirvana, we don't have any individuality anymore, then, that we let them behind. Because we are simultaneously cultivating this devotional creeper. We just keep on going with that. That's unaffected by, so we figure out to merge the body into the elements. So what? The devotional creeper is untouched. It still goes on. And that's where our life is. So, yeah, we don't do this merging process too much until it's time, because otherwise we'll be busy merging mentally and not do our service.
So you can fall down from Brahmacharya. Can you go up also?
Well, it appears Gopakumara did.
I'm sorry.
Gopakumara did. He was there. He was experiencing it. He was tempted into it. He felt the pull, and yet he pulled back from it, and he wanted to go higher. So you can. There's total freedom to go up or down. Anyway, and like he went to Vaikuntha, and he was personally relating to Narayan, but he became unsatisfied. He wanted more.
Okay.
So he didn't know what he wanted, but he wanted more. So he went the next step higher yet. So, yeah, these things. We have to navigate our way around these things, because it's absolutely true that we don't do this. Merge the elements. That's not what we're doing. We're developing devotional service. However, at the side, we do have to do that too, and it's right in the Bhagavatam. So, but it's only subservient to liberation, like liberation itself stands at the door ready to serve the devotees. Anything else? Is that okay? Everybody? Satisfied?
Is it okay?
Yeah, okay? Is
Oh,
satisfied?
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
You got some? No? That's it? Okay. All praise to Srimad, all praise to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.